Good morning, or grand rising, whichever term that you prefer to use. I'm up really early this morning. I've just been watching the sunrise and it's been pretty amazing. Lots of pinks and purples. Okay, so I was going to do a video that links on to yesterday's about timelines, but I'm being called to talk about this, and I have been called to talk about this for some time, and I keep writing it down in my little notebook that it came as a thought, came as a vision, came as a mission, and sometimes when the missions come, I hold on to them for a little bit because I want to make sure that they're coming from source and not from my ego. So I sit on them for a while if I feel like someone could get hurt, or if I just don't feel comfortable just doing it at the moment. And then if it keeps coming, then I know that it's not from me. It's not a fear-based sort of reaction, let's say. So I want to talk about manipulation. And manipulation has this very dark undertone, and it's used a lot in sort of like when you talk about narcissists and abusers, and it's just very, very dark use of energy. And I've been sort of thinking about manipulation so much, and especially with everything that's been going on in like the media and marketing and the way we're sold products and everything. We're constantly being manipulated, and it's not that hard to undress if you look for it. And you don't even have to look for it, it's right in front of our eyes. The marketing, certain wording, certain colours, certain times of the day, in the supermarkets, the aisles where they place different food, politicians selling us ideas and drip feeding information, and the words they use, coercive language, insurance companies, they sell you stuff through fear. Most selling is through fear. And having worked, I used to think about this a lot when I used to work in retail management, all the things that they would do to try and manipulate people to spend money in their store, and I used to hate it. And it used to make me feel really uncomfortable. Sales prices and things like that, moving the price, moving the goalposts, writing certain things in terms and conditions, and all this sort of stuff. It's all manipulation, and we do it to each other. And I've been thinking so much about the forms of manipulation that we use against each other. Trying to get people to like us, the clothes that we wear to try to fit in. The stories that we tell about ourselves to other people, to try and get people to bond with us and build rapport. And I think a lot about these things, and like trying to speak so openly about my past and mistakes that I've made, and the person that I am, and the work that I'm trying to do. And I'm really trying to focus on integrity. That's what is the mission, what is the soul mission, what am I trying to to do with all this speaking out about behaviours and the way things are and difficult situations and taboo. Like, what am I actually trying to do? And I thought about this so much, and I've always received such a bad reception from speaking the truth. Always. Ever since I was little, ever since standing there in front of my dad telling him that he's not allowed to speak to my mum that way, I knew that that was the truth. I knew in my heart, and I knew deep down in my soul, that what I was saying was wrong, even though he was telling me that it wasn't, and I had to shut up. And that feeling never went away. I've never lost that feeling, and that's what drives me on to do what I'm doing, because I know that it's right and I know that it's needed. And the more that I speak out and the more feedback I get about what I do, the more that it propels me on, because it is needed. And I'm realising more and more that this life isn't about trying to make people like you. It's not about that. And that is the form of manipulation. We're all trying to be liked. We're all trying to fit in. We're all trying to be loved. And the more and more research I do about children, and the more pages that I follow, and the more people that I speak to that work with children, that's what we're born to do. We're born to love. We're not manipulators. We're just not bad energy. It's something that we are taught over time to do, and it's from childhood that we start with these manipulating behaviours. And I can see that in my own growing up, but not in a way like, oh, I must do this, so therefore that I'll get liked. It was more like, I will do certain things. Like, I was, it's so weird. Up until I reached high school, I was like A-star student. I worked my arse off. You never heard a peep out of me. I would try my best in all my subjects. And then all of a sudden I realised when I got to a teen that actually got me nowhere. My dad still never paid me any attention, whatever grades I brought home. The teachers, I never got any teachers because they were always paying more attention to the bad kids. My friends, I never got any more friends from being good at school, or behaving or anything like that. So I sort of started swinging the other way to sort of test the waters, and realised that obviously everything changed when you start kicking dirt up. And that's literally how I carried on. By the time I got to college, my tutor was inviting me into his office for a talk every single week, every single Monday morning, I think, because I wasn't showing up for myself. And it's this society's the way that society is run, the way that we deal with that kind of behaviour, that sort of spurs it on, it triggers it on, it makes it more so. And I've been thinking so much about how we manipulate others as well, others around us, other people. And this in my life is such a strong energy. And I believe this to be this manipulation on my character and who I am and my intention has literally been the biggest thing that I have had to face my whole life. Like, my whole life, from being a child, I was always the black sheep, the outcast, the troublemaker, the one always kicking up a fuss, because I would not go along with the narrative that I didn't believe in. And that has always been the case. I've always got something different to say. I've always got another way of thinking. And it's always integrity. It's always the truth. And every time I think about how I reacted in a situation, and sometimes it does come across very, very blunt, and especially in my younger years. And integrity is a very, very powerful energy. And this is what I'm starting to understand when I'm meeting it in other people. You're like, whoa, like that sort of like, that's cool, like, and I think integrity and truth. Do you remember the little diagrams I was saying with the straight energy, straight, straight, straight? It's hard hitting. And for most that haven't dealt with that kind of energy, it's extremely painful. And it causes people fear of the truth, fear of integrity, fear of the real authenticity of themselves, showing a mirror to that person. And the relationships I've had in the past, I have had all forms of manipulation, all forms, financial, emotional, psychological, physical in some. And the one type of manipulation that is still in my life at this moment is, I'll talk about it in have you ever seen The Enemy of the State with Will Smith? It's a really good thriller. It's a really good film. But I have spent most of my life like Will Smith. I know that sounds completely cuckoo. But so he gets given some information that he doesn't know that he has. And a politician wants this information. It could completely ruin his reputation and obviously ruin his life, and his whole party will come crashing down. Will Smith doesn't know that he even has this information for such a lot of time. And he's and this politician, because he cannot get into, because he fears him, he can't get into his life. He has to do it backhandedly, and he has to discredit him. So before Will Smith comes out with this information, this politician discredits his character. So that when he does come out with this information, no one will believe him because he's discredited his name. Honestly, watch the film. You'll completely understand what I mean. It's brilliant. When I've been a psychic all my life, I've been able to see things that people can't see. I can see, not just see, I can hear, I can smell, I can feel everything. And sometimes it's really upsetting because people that you really, really care about, aren't being truthful with you. You know that people are not giving you the truth. You know that people are not being authentic. You know that people are telling you lies about stuff that doesn't even matter. And it's also really hard being an empath because you sort of sit in there going, why are you lying to me about that? You are safe with me, like I'm a safe person. You can tell me the truth. You can be yourself, like. And it causes so many problems having these gifts because you do see people for who they truly are, even if that person can't. And obviously it causes arguments and it causes a lot of heartache because the person that you are in a relationship, in a friendship with, doesn't want to be their real self, can't be their real self because they're completely out of practice. It's been since childhood that they were allowed to be themselves, that they were allowed to tell the truth. A lot of unfortunate people were built on mistrust and lies and manipulation. Very unsafe. And being the person that I am and working out who people really are and what their true intentions are and what's actually really going on, and facing and having the strength to actually face them on it is painful for that person. And I really understand that, probably more than anybody else on the planet. Facing up to them and showing them the mirror and showing them who they really are. You're liable for attack, and this is, well, you are attacked. And this is where I have been, and this is where I am at the moment. And even in court and having to speak to, and constantly having to defend my character, defend my intention, defend who I am as a person. And I wanted to talk about the reason why this is happening and why I want to do the work that I do. Because when we manipulate, we do it from a place of fear. We do it because we're scared. We manipulate people because, and we say things that aren't true, and we take, what's the word I'm trying to look for? And we hurt people's character because we can't control them. That's a form of control. And this is what is happening to me at the moment. My son's dad has been hell-bent on making people hate me, making people think that I'm a horrendous person. And this was happening the whole time that we were together. The whole time that we were together, from start to finish. And it's made me realise how scared he was, how scared he still is, how fearful of what people think about him. And I always said to him, I don't feel those things. I don't see that. Because I see the person who they truly are. And that's the reason why I do the work that I do. That's why I want to work with narcissists and abusers and, all the the people in society we deem as not being able to fit into society. I mean, narcissist, Jesus, gets thrown around like a cup of water at the minute. Who decides who goes in these boxes? Like, what sort of, what's the criteria? I honestly don't get it. But yeah, like for me, why else would you want to manipulate somebody? Because you don't have power over them. He knows full well that he cannot hurt me. So he manipulates other things around me. He manipulates my money. He manipulates the way people see me. He manipulates the narrative. He manipulates the story of our relationship. He manipulates my son. He's manipulated his daughter to hate me when we had a very loving relationship. He's manipulated his family so that they hate me. They owe me a hell of a lot of money. But it's easier to not pay someone that you hate, isn't it? And that's a bad person. We have this thing where we devalue somebody's worth so that we can treat them badly. That's a form of manipulation. We bring others down so that we can treat them in a way that we think is fitting, and it normally is because we feel at that level. We don't feel worthy of that person, so we bring them down. And the reason why I know that is because I've done that in the past. When I was at my absolute worst, I would manipulate